You probably find that there's situations where your ego or your lower self gets the better of you. So this might come out in certain times where you are immature, or you are irrational, or your anger gets the best of you, or perhaps it's jealousy. Maybe you just feel some particular way that you think you should be past this by now, but for some reason you are not. So you find that there's this internal battle between trying to be the righteous, better person, but also wanting to honor your own feelings and emotions because, authenticity is also very important, of course, along the spiritual journey because part of spirituality is to strip ourselves down to the most authentic layer of ourselves. You might find that when you are in this situation, there is this internal conflict because it's almost like you have this angel on your shoulder saying, no, no, you need to be the bigger person, you need to be a better person, you need to suck it up and do the right thing because someone who is spiritually evolved or spiritually advanced, they're not going to feel angry, they're not going to feel frustrated, they're not going to get triggered by these things. So you need to be this way, you need to lead by example and be the better person. But then you'll find that you have this little devil on your shoulder as well, saying, "No, no, but you need to express yourself. You need to be authentic. You need to defend yourself. You need to draw a line when someone is crossing it, and actually, step up because you don't want to be taken advantage of, and you need to make it known. This is in your best interest to express yourself and be angry and be frustrated." And part of this, I guess, internal conflict is this idea that there's two different sides of us, right? And we believe that either one side's right or the other side is right, which is part of the conflict and part of the problem in the first place. Because if we believe that we must be divided and there's a particular path to follow, or that one side of us is right and we must do it this way, and the other side of us is wrong and we must not do it this way, then we end up disintegrating. We end up just separating our sense of self, and this is what creates the shadow, or the shadow self. The part of you that is neglected, and it doesn't have the time of day, it doesn't feel seen, and as long as this part of you is sort of repressed and under the surface, then you'll find that it just creates bigger problems along your life journey because, of course, just because you don't express something doesn't mean it goes away. It actually has the opposite effect. If you don't express something, then often it will bubble up into your subconscious, it will turn into mental illness, it can turn into physical illness. It will find some sort of way to express itself. And that's, that's a big thing about just wellness in general that I guess we don't understand in Western society. We're starting to a little bit more, but generally we don't really understand that whatever we trap inside ourselves, it will find a way out. Often it's not conscious the way that it comes out. It might come out during a trigger, it might come out during an explosive episode, during a sort of crisis or midlife crisis or spiritual crisis or something along those lines. But it can also come out as physical illness. So you know that not expressing yourself and not being authentic isn't necessarily the way to go. So you need to honor this little devil on your shoulder as well because, it's valid. It's saying you need to express yourself. You need to draw this line. You need to defend yourself. And that little devil on your shoulder is trying to protect you. That's the part of your psyche or your ego that wants to keep you safe and defend you because if it didn't exist, then everyone would step over you. So we can't pretend that this is bad or anything like that, or it's not valid because it is. But on the other side, it's also perfectly valid to want to be the better self and to want to be the bigger self. After all, isn't that sort of the point of this spiritual journey and self-betterment and self-evolution? Is trying to organically and naturally evolve to a point where we start to feel better about ourselves. And we start to genuinely feel more compassion in the face of adversity, where we genuinely start to feel more love. Isn't that the point of it? Because I think anyone who is on this journey of self-discovery and wanting to better themselves, they will understand or they will vouch that we do want to feel love. We do want to feel compassion. We don't want to feel angry. We don't want to feel frustrated because these emotions are dense. They don't make us feel good. And when you think about it, does anger make you feel good? Do you actually want to be angry? And I bet if you are like 90% of people, you would say, no, I don't want to be angry. Of course I don't. Why would I want to be angry? But sometimes I am angry. Sometimes I am angry and I don't know how to handle it, and I don't know how to deal with it, and I don't know how to honor it without playing it out. And I don't know what to do about it without pushing it under the surface where it becomes repressed. So there's sort of this fine line we need to walk when it comes to, trying to actually honor our emotions and be true to ourselves, but at the same time, trying to rise above it. And we can definitely go too far on either side, because if we go too far into trying to rise above it, this creates the problem of spiritual bypassing, which is sort of covering up all of your dysfunction and saying, I am love and light, I am always love and compassion and generosity and all of these good things. And you see a lot of these sort of people in the spiritual communities around the world, and you can just tell that there is a lot of dysfunction under the surface, and often if you press their buttons in the wrong sort of way, then they'll snap, or they can become extremely condescending or rude or explosive. So that's not the solution. You don't want to go too far into this way of, trying to embody your higher self to the point that you're actually repressing your anger or you're repressing your frustration, because that's just going to create more problems in the long run. But you also don't want to lean too much into anger and frustration, because when you do that and we can also go overboard with it. We can become overly angry and overly frustrated and sort of identify with that as well, where you become the victim, you become the person that's always taken advantage of. You become this angry, resentful, frustrated person, when maybe you should also learn to let go of that instead of just holding on to it. So you definitely don't want to hold on to it at the same time. So how can we find this balance between being the bigger person but honoring your emotions? Well, there's no real easy way to do it. It's not like there's a flick of a switch. But in my own experiences, what I've learned is that the first thing is awareness. Because I've been practicing this a lot over the last maybe 6 months or so. Whenever I'm feeling frustrated, whenever I'm feeling angry, or I have some undesirable emotion that's coming to surface, first off, I become aware of it. I say, okay, I'm feeling this way. I label it. I say, I am feeling angry. I am feeling frustrated. I am feeling jealous. I am feeling a particular way. And I really just pay attention to the feelings in my body. How am I feeling? Where is it manifesting? How is it coming out? And, in like a lot of Buddhist teachings and stuff, they say awareness will solve it all. And as long as you're aware of it and you give it presence and you observe it, then it will go away. In my experiences, it doesn't really go away when you're observing it. It sort of just stays there, and then you might feel frustrated or angry because it's staying there and it's not going away, and you're like, well, this isn't doing me much good, is it? But I do find that when I start questioning it and having an internal dialogue, this is where it actually starts to ease off. And this is really important, because not only will I acknowledge when I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling upset or frustrated, or just I'm feeling some dense emotion that I want to let go of, but I'll start asking it questions. I'll say, why are you feeling this way? Why are you triggered? Why are you upset right now? From a voice of compassion as well. You're not trying to like slam down on it or scold it or anything like that. You're just trying to genuinely question it, almost like you're talking to your lower self, or you're talking to your child self who is getting angry, who does feel, or this part of you that does actually want to protect you from this situation or from this person. So once you start having this internal dialogue, and you really start questioning it, you say, okay, I'm feeling angry. Why am I feeling angry? This is always the first question I ask myself. Why am I feeling angry? Why am I feeling frustrated? Sometimes it will just snap and I'll say, I'm feeling angry because this person, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. I feel like this is happening. I feel like blah, 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 blah. And you'll have this solid reason, which first is good. Just listen to it, because if you have a solid reason and you listen to it, then I think a big part of that diffusion or that healing is just honoring that emotion and actually listening to it, because often this side of ourselves doesn't feel acknowledged. And this is why we feel this particular way, because it's not acknowledged. And you know what? You don't actually need other people to acknowledge it. You just need you to acknowledge it. And once you actually give it the time of day and you say, okay, I'm listening to you, I'm hearing you, okay, this is frustrating, I understand that. And you have this two-way dialogue with this lower part of yourself, with this part of you that is wounded and is hurt, then, at least in my experiences, this is when it starts to ease off and it starts to soften. Because I realize that, there's a part of me that just doesn't feel heard. And once you give it the time of day and you listen to it, that is when it starts to feel better, and it starts to say, oh, okay, thank you, I actually feel acknowledged, I feel better, and this anger starts to dissipate. On the other hand, if you can't come up with a good reason, that's even better. Because if you feel angry or you feel frustrated from something and you say, why do you feel this way? Why are you getting angry over this? And then you think, I don't know, I need to think of something quickly because I look stupid otherwise. And you start thinking about it, and you're thinking, and you're thinking, and you're thinking, and you can't really think of anything. Maybe you try and justify it, and you say, well, this is happening, and, there's this loud sound over there, and there's a mosquito, and it's really annoying me. Then, it loses power in its own way, because I think that part of you that you are speaking to realizes that it doesn't have a platform to stand on. There's a part of you that realizes, maybe I shouldn't actually, maybe this isn't justified and I am just getting frustrated and upset over something super insignificant. So you just spend time with it, you just observe it, you just listen to it as something comes up, and you don't force this process, you don't rush it or anything like that, but you just listen. You listen to yourself and you acknowledge it, and you show compassion to yourself. I think this is what we mean by self-compassion, because this term is thrown around a lot, and I think it's sort of lost its meaning in this day and age. It's just, just love yourself. But it actually means honouring your emotions and honouring that part of you that is wounded and that is hurt and that hasn't been healed yet. Because again, that part of you is just trying to protect you. So maybe you can show it a little more compassion, knowing that it's just trying to protect you. It's not your enemy. And when you do that, this is when, at least in my experiences, I start to ease off and I start to feel more calm and more at peace. And this is a pretty crucial point as well, because sometimes the ego can be a sneaky one, and it will, once it starts softening, like you still have this energy here, you can feel it, but it's starting to lose its grip a little bit through just observing it and questioning it and talking with it. This is when you need to actually consciously let it go, because if you don't let it go and you don't actually desire to let it go, then it will find some sort of ammunition and you will just get angry again, and you'll keep going in this negative spiral because you're not actually wanting to let it go. And if you don't want to let this emotion go, which often we don't, because again, our ego wants some sort of ammunition, we want to feel like there is a reason to be angry. We want to feel like there is some sort of justification. So we need to be careful not to give it ammunition. And when we feel it starting to soften, really, really just dig into that and introspect and say, am I truly, do I actually want to let this go? And you'll be surprised by how often that part of you will say, no, I don't want to let it go because I still feel hurt. I don't want to let it go. And again, just acknowledging that and spending time with it, I think is the best way to start processing this and to actually genuinely come to this place where you do start letting it go. And you can make this conscious decision to say, no, I don't want to feel this way because anger doesn't make me feel happy. I want to feel happy. I want to feel compassion. I want to feel compassion. This is such a powerful thing that you can say, because you are realigning your subconscious with this higher self. And you're not forcing it. You're not forcing yourself into the higher self, where you might create problems of spiritual bypassing and suppressing certain emotions and things where it never actually goes away. But you are genuinely starting to embody more compassion and feel more compassionate because you are aligning yourself with compassion. So whenever you feel this way, don't force it. don't expect yourself to feel a certain way, or that you have to feel a certain way. You do need to honor your process. Again, that devil on your shoulder isn't a bad guy. He's just a part of you saying, wanting justice. But also learn to start letting go of it. Don't hold on to resentment or petty things. If you can, try to let them go. Consciously will to let it go. And consciously will to feel more compassion, and to feel more love, and to feel more gratitude, because these things are, these are energies that actually make us feel good. So as long as you're doing that, use every time that you feel a certain way as a practice to do this. Because I bet you it's not going to work the first time you do it. For example, if you watch this video, then you just say later today you feel frustrated over something. Something goes wrong and you feel frustrated and you're like, why is this happening? Why me? Part of it is observing and, having that internal dialogue and asking it, but you will probably find that the first time you do this, it might slip a little bit, but it probably won't make a huge amount of difference. But it's sort of like a muscle, so you need to build it up, because you need to use every opportunity as practice. Like anything, practice makes perfect. The more we do it, the better we become at it. And it really is just a practice. It's like playing a sport. Luckily, you have many opportunities to practice, because if you often feel angry or frustrated or some dense emotion or vibration, then you have many opportunities to practice listening to it and dialoguing with it and having a conversation and letting it go, and then recalibrating yourself to higher paradigms. If we genuinely work at feeling more compassion and love, and we acknowledge when we feel a certain way, then your life experience will start reflecting these emotions that you experience regularly. You will start living in a more compassionate world. You will start seeing compassion all over the place. It will become easier to experience more compassion. Likewise with love and gratitude. If you build the practice of experiencing more gratitude and you genuinely want it, and you pray for your food when you eat it, you pray for your water when you drink it, you worship the universe and you worship God, then you genuinely start to feel more. You see the world in a way where it becomes more beautiful and more awesome, because you say, wow, this is such a beautiful, marvelous creation. Even with its suffering, even with all its craziness, even with its dysfunction, this is such a incredible creation. And sometimes it really just takes us a moment to step back and look at it through new eyes and through this frame of being grateful for this experience of life, and to feel compassionate about ourselves, about the people we care about the animals around us. And, really, you just keep drumming it in. You keep working on it. You keep identifying when you're feeling triggered or you're feeling a dense emotion, and you just keep working through it step by step by step by step by step. And, I bet you if you do this every time you feel a certain way, a year from now, your perception of life is going to be very different to the way that it is today. But you just need to be consistent with it. You need a little bit of discipline to do this. And just always bring your awareness back to your emotions. Bring your awareness to how you're feeling. And that's really all I have to say in this video. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and what you think about this, and if this strategy has helped you. With that said, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful life. Take care of yourself. I will see you later.